My name is Doug McCartney. I am currently at Oakland University. Yes, that is the Oakland University that broke your hearts, your wallets, and your brackets. We beat Kentucky, and we almost beat North Carolina State. So that was us. So thank you very little, I guess. Yeah, so that was claim to fame. Why is a guy from Michigan here? Well, a guy from Michigan lived here for 18 plus years. First at Lewis Clark State College in Lewiston, Idaho, and then secondly at Portland State University for 18 plus years. And you go back home to be with your family, and I did that, and that was wonderful. And now it's about presenting a little bit about what the good things we've done at Oakland University. And I'm going to do a shout out because they're going to see this on the video at some point. My team back there: John Sweet, JJ Reeser, Kyle Bierner, Rusty Pizzadni, who no longer is with me, but he's with Mike Pedersen at Iowa State. So there's that. So. Yeah, and I have with me today, I don't know where Abbi is. Hopefully she'll be here. I have Abbi from Legrand, who I actually have known for quite a while because we did a big in focus project many moons ago called the Decision Theater with the assistance of Mr. James Hatfield and Niall Davidson at the time. And we learned a lot of new words during that project, a lot of new words. So, and then my new friend from Legrand, and I have many friends from Legrand, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about that is Mike Janke. And Mike is, what region do you support, Mike?
I have the West, which is basically the Rockies to Hawaii. 13 states.
13 states. So this was a presentation that I did for the ETC conference at University of Southern California with another West Coast individual named Mike Santos, who he and I formulated this idea and said, what would it be if, how did we use Vaddio at our university? And our university, Oakland University, we're the Golden Grizzlies, so hence Grizzflex. Yes, I own the copyright for that. I had to cut a deal with the guys at UNLV for the Rebel Flex. You know those guys, Frank and all. But yeah, did that. So let's dive in just a little bit. Diving in. So my beautiful university, Oakland University, 35 miles north of downtown Detroit. It's Oakland County. It is relatively suburban and then becomes kind of rural. We have a campus that I don't know how many square acres it is, but odds are you'll see a deer before you see a student or see a skunk or a badger or a muskrat running around somewhere. It's like a state park, a brief history. It is the grounds of where the Dodge brothers of Dodge used to own all this property. The property was leased to Michigan State University in the 60s, and then from there it was Oakland University, or Michigan State Oakland campus, and then became Oakland University. Matilda Dodge Wilson was the benefactor, and people are still quoting her 80 years after she passed away, and I have to remember that, and then I have to salute her statue when we go by it. But that's part of being at a college like that. There's a lot of tradition, a lot of this is the way it is. We don't want to change. You know how it goes, everybody. Another trivial fact for my friends from Portland State is that a former co-worker of yours, Ward Robbins, got his bachelor's degree here. So it is a small world after all. We find out all the time. Yeah, so some of our beautiful pictures. This is Bear Lake. This is where cars are at the bottom of, we've been told. Lots of debauchery nights ended up there, and that's where that happened. Our quad, our beautiful fountain, the Elliott Tower that in 2019 one of my student employees drove a golf cart into. But we deal with campus drama on an as-need basis. Stay away from golf carts if you can. So here's my story of ending up here. So after a tearful November 2018 for this guy, with the great goodbyes and parties that I still will never forget and behavior that I'll still never forget, I said goodbye. So I came to this campus to start another stage of my professional career, 2,538 miles away from everything I've known for 18 plus years, to Oakland. And very receptive, very nice, a very calming campus, but yet, like all our college campuses, politics abound. All kinds of stuff. things going on, starting to work on some projects that are, this is one of the reasons they hired me, because of the projects that I had worked on at Portland State. It was the Viking Pavilion, it was the Carl Miller Center, it was the Collaborative Life Science Building. They saw that on my resume and go, that's our guy right there, because we got projects that coming. And we need somebody who can work with the team, the vendors, internal operations to make it happen. And I said, yeah, why not? Parents were there, need to be near them. And so I leave. And then things start going around. Things go, oh well, 2019, our CIO leaves, she retires, and that was good. She had kind of been there for 35 plus years, and she couldn't do any more, and she worn out her welcome, and right now her and I are better friends on Facebook than we were in real life. And then things are rolling, and then that dreaded day happened in March, and for us, I look back at the calendar, it was March 13th, where I had to start sending people home. I actually was at a meeting with one of the people who's here from Texas Christian University with a person she knows there. We were basically got that email and said, you must leave campus immediately. Do not pass go, you're going to jail, whatever. Get out, leave now, go home, barricade yourself. All that stuff. And we're like, okay. So from there, March 20th is kind of like the set of a new time for me at this university, March 20th. And we're like, okay, what did we deal with starting then? Social distancing of classrooms. That fell under my responsibility because I have the word classroom in my title, and therefore my team had to go room to room, assess, measure out social distancing everywhere, and it was dramatic. Did I say whether or not I cried? Anybody who knows me a little bit knows I cried, because I saw what I'd worked for my entire career with butts in seats in classrooms with working technology take a huge hit that day, and that. I said, okay, these are challenges. This isn't about throwing in the towel. This is about, okay, we got to pivot. We got to go to, I hate that word pivot, by the way, but we had to go to a new direction of how we are going to approach things. First, we social distance. And then what we do, we immediately buy every webcam we possibly can in the world and start putting those in our classrooms, so when we do come back and we have social distancing and we have Zoom on the computers and all that, we'll be ready. And fortunate enough, we got ready, but it wasn't the accurate solution for us. The solution for us was to go with something more robust, and we had some trial and errors. Some of the things I learned from distance learning classrooms at Portland State University, what works and what doesn't work. And some of the things we even did over there were like, okay, they were little Band-Aid solutions to get us through to another point. And another point for us was to go to Vaddio and to go to a more robust system. So this guy made all the difference in the world to us on this project. His name is Dave Goldschmidt. Yeah, he just looks like an old Detroit Lion fan who had a very good football season, by the way, and he was very happy about that. But I can tell you this, the amount of empathy he had for us, the amount of technical solutions he provided us with, the amount of it's caring, do it. And you know, the backstory on this guy, he's Toledo. He's a Toledo guy. And then after our few conversations, we realized he had worked with my mom at one point at a hospital in Toledo called St. Charles. I'm not sure what his job was, but mom was like kind of his quasi-boss. And I said, you know, do you know Marcella Newmark? And he goes, Marcy? Yeah, I know Marcy. I go, well, Dave, that's my mom. And from that, a lifelong relationship developed with this gentleman. So he can get a lot of credit. I'm going to go see him in April because I got to help him clean out his garage because he's got more Legrand stuff that he knows what to do with, and they're sending it to him every day. So I'm going to help him out. So, and I'm definitely making sure that my Legrand friends here know that we've all connected with each other. So kudos to this guy always. So here's the other thing. The other thing, we got the pile of money. The pile of money that came in from the U.S. government to basically save our respective bacons. I could tell you with this, you know, you see that wonderful $75 million. Well, I like money, and this is where I have to show you my socks. Thanks, Niles. I have magic socks. So my magic socks are, yeah, can you make that out who that is? That is Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. So they're bringing me good luck today. Trust me, I was going to do this even before I had the cup of whiskey. So, yeah. But, so that money, how much of that money did Doug see for his needs? Just shy of $1 million, because if it had gone to $1 million to our board, it had to go through another level of approval. So we kept it between like $850,000 and $950,000. So I didn't have to get any additional approval. But did I spend all my money on cameras, microphones, easy IP mixers? No. I spent a lot of money on Cisco network gear, going into closets, hiring our company Shaw that does that type of work for us at our university, and that's where my money was spent. So we all have this slide. We all have this slide. May have a different number, but we have it. I suggest you go to your campus. You do this. You get this slide, and you may need to pull it out of your hat sometimes. And remember to tell people in your leadership, remember what we did to save our campuses, save our enrollments, save the faculty, save our reputation, do it all. So I'm going to get more of what is Grizzflex for us. So Grizzflex is basically our classroom solution to bring Zoom and Google Meets and Panopto and everything in a really nice container and deliver that to students. This is our typical classroom. That's a video screenshot because I'm kind of proud of it. We won a video award for this, for our training. We probably need to update it because it's like 3 years old, but it did the trick. We got an award from ETC for this. They got us a real sweet Adelona camera as our prize, and it gets used on a pretty regular basis by the events team. So yeah, so it's that's our URL, and we are all about people looking at our video and seeing what we're up to. So Grizzflex, basically, we have a camera in the front of the classroom. So imagine a camera maybe just off above or just off. That is the student view. So if I want to go here and see Romero, I want to zoom in on Romero. Romero's talking. I got Romero on the camera. It puts on a Crestron interface, which we couldn't have made it simpler to use on the touchscreen for the faculty member. So that has been a really big draw. We don't get we get training requests. We train them. We want that. And so here you need to know how to use your in-room gear because there are still students teaching from the far side. The hybrid is real. It's everywhere, and we're trying to meet that. Did we do all our campus classrooms? No, but we did quite a bit, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So the instructor view. So there's a camera back there, maybe close to where or behind where our operator is right there. So you get the instructor view camera. So you have something that can focus in. If the instructor is not going to mess around with the camera, they will get that camera set using the controls, leave it as is, teach away. So it all happens. So, yep, so that's it. So this is a stage picture with various student employees who were there when they were doing it. And some of these student employees learned so much about Vaddio equipment during the installation of it. It was insane. We needed them. We needed them more than ever because the deployment, the testing, making sure they were ready, this was the team that did it. Okay, for Vaddio Dante ceiling microphones, the Easy IP microphone, hanging pendant microphones, adequate enough and met the need because some of the other audio solutions we came up were some crazy things that we had done at Portland State University in the Distance Learning Center to replace basically, which were push-to-talk microphones that looked like little space cannons or whatever those things were. So I was fortunate enough last week to be at a conference hosted by my friend Paul at Carleton College, and I saw very similar rooms, and I'm like, you stole my Grizzflex. So, but that's okay. So after the classrooms, we were working on a big, significant administration building for the administration. It was the only project that really happened during the whole COVID thing and kept moving forward. It was an addition to a building called Wilson Hall, and the administration was going in there, and there was lots of demands. Also, pieces of student services were going in there. And there were the need for virtual built into the project as the project was moved along. So this is our presidential conference room. You could call it a boardroom. When the board comes to campus, they want to meet, but it's not a public event, it's a private event. This happens there. Cabinet meetings, this is what happens there. Certain high-level meetings at the university. And you could see, seats about 15, 20 or something like that. And I'll go to the next slide here. It's got 4 LG displays around the walls, 75 inches. And then we get into what we put in there for connectivity or video. So we have a few different choices of Vaddio cameras that Dave spec'd out for us. Dave was very engaged in all this because we could not, the Vaddio microphone solution didn't quite work and they didn't want anything hanging from the ceiling. We went for this Sennheiser Team Connect 2, and it has been a sweet piece of equipment. I know we saw some yesterday on the tour. There's one out on the floor right now. Definitely go check that out because that really has been a really nice addition to this room. And so we don't have to worry about microphones, desktop microphones, push to talk, any of that. It's old time stuff. That does it all, and it's a sweet device. Sorry about the bad focus on these guys. My guy who has the eye patch took these pictures for me, so sorry. But yeah, but it's this is a basic control. You see the room design that we had, and then pan, tilt, zoom camera control, switching cameras, the zoom. We created zones for different views and stuff like that. When this room is used, we don't have a person in the room, but we have a person in a room adjacent because we are very much about events, supporting meetings, and all that. So they're like, we want somebody nearby. I go, are you going to feed them? No. Okay, I'll tell them to bring their lunch. So that is kind of what we do in the Crestron design. And the classroom design is very similar to with the interface. So anybody who likes designing Crestron, touch panels, he was having a hell of a good time because he liked doing this kind of thing. And then from that, other rooms came out of this project. For one, the provost meeting space, specially designed for my provost, who's going to be leaving me sometime in the near future, to create, using these products, a virtual room that works for her. And the chairs are all in disarray because the room gets used so much. And it does get used for it. And we've trained everybody who touches this room, all the associate provosts, my boss, all the support people in the academic affairs area to use the room, and it has been, rarely do we get calls. And we are monitoring all this Vaddio stuff too, and there's a couple slides later about that. Huddle rooms, small rooms. This has been really good where you can hook up your laptop, go right to the device, have a Zoom call, and go a little bit quicker here, and you can see we've got the huddle room, the huddle shot with the camera in it, and all that, and it does a more than adequate job of audio pickup and video for the space to make that a reality. So that is kind of our excitement of what we did for that project. We did 9 of these rooms in the building on different floors. Student services has a few, academic affairs, presidential office, legal. Everyone kind of wanted one. So, all right, so where are we right now? We bit off a lot when we said we'd do a whole bunch of classrooms. We still have 20 general purpose classrooms to complete as of today. Spring break, our winter break, recess was a month ago. We thought we'd get 6 more done. Nope. Had other things going on. Didn't have enough people on deck. Too much other stuff that was more critical to get done first. And so they will be done at some point over the next few months. We have departmental rooms because when I was getting ready to do all these general purpose classrooms, guess what? Assistant deans in the various colleges were like, well, I want that too. And we're like, okay, we will budget that for you. How many do you want? And this is how much they cost. And you're going to be making a request out of the CARES Act funding that I showed you guys. So it is one of those deals where it's you know, we were trying to meet all the campus needs, you know, all that. It's funny, I saw these neat guys right out here with the neat board in our school. Before they really got involved with us using this for our School of Engineering, they jumped the gun and bought neat boards, and they didn't get them verified by Central IT. And there was all kinds of issues with getting them firmware upgrades and all kinds of things. And it was like it's like they just worked arbitrarily of the Central IT people. And I go, well, yeah, they're cool. They are neat boards, but you should have talked to those guys first. So about this building, this is my big project building. It was the first big draw that got me there. They said, Doug, we want you. We got a giant project. Well, this was the giant project that brought me there. So South Foundation Hall, every person who ever went to class there from during the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, most of the aughts went to that building. It's an old-timey building, high school. It did have high-tech classrooms throughout it. So your basic high-tech classroom, you know, that we all configure, podiums, projectors, you know, like this room here, you know, all the basic stuff. Well, it got closed. It got closed when COVID hit. And we'd already started the planning for the project, where we're going to displace these classes to, which was all over the world. I had reached back to a colleague named Steve Rounds at Portland State University. Hey, Steve, how much did all the trailers cost? And I took that number to them, and they were freaking out. They're like, what do you mean, $5 million? We go, well, that's the cost of doing business, my friend, to get a trailer park, several of them. And install it in winter too. So yeah, sorry, but so COVID closed us, and went dark. We went in there a few times, pulled all the gear that was in there, repurposed all the gear that was in there because they're relatively new Crestron DMPSs, Wolf Vision document cameras, Epson projectors, just anything we could do, kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, going through there, just getting us whatever we could use, take it back, and just start installing it for the needy people in departmental spaces who didn't have budgets at all to deal with. And kind of we did our Robin Hood act. You know, we kind of took this stuff that wasn't terribly bad and very better, and replacing the stuff that had yellow burn in and we're having all kinds of issues. So we kind of got a couple wins on that one. So August 2024, they're right around the corner. We open up the building, 47 general purpose classrooms of various sizes, from 20 to maybe the biggest one's like 78 or something like that. And it really, you know, it's been a project of passion. A part of that is that working with our project manager, we found the funding in the limited budget that we got from the state of Michigan for 21 Grizzflex classrooms at about $11,000 each. Some of them have taller ceilings, so we will not be able to do the easy IP microphones. But we're going with Nueva, which I've seen demoed before at certain schools, and I'm like, this is great. I like this. So basically a microphone array that sits on a wall, and it really does a great job of audio pickup. This morning, before I found out all my other campus drama, the campus drama that got handed me is that we have a sound bleed issue in some of these 47 classrooms, and we're going to have to slow down a little bit and deal with that first before we go too far deep into Grizzflex. But on a positive note, I bought everything. So the gear is on its way, as they say, and that's happening. So that's kind of where we are at the Oakland University Grizzflex world. And I'm done. I need to drink water, and I'm going to hand this over to Mike.
Excellent.
Here you go, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Hi, everybody. Mike Janke with Legrand. I support Vaddio. And Doug, I appreciate you letting me take part of your presentation and sharing your story and success with Vaddio and Legrand. But we'll go into a little deeper dive on what is ECIP, and a lot of the success that Doug was speaking to was that our easy over IP solution, which is basically an AV over IP solution, and we'll go through that. So basically, when you have an easy IP, you're using you're using a network. So you have your network switch, and then you can connect up to 4 cameras in a simple solution. And and all USB out. So that USB out would come to your computer or your laptop. And with that, I can select up to 4 different cameras. If you're using it with a mixer, which we'll go into, now I can also ingest that audio with the 4x4 Dante audio mixer, and then have line out for audio. So in some cases, depending on the scenario, you can have a all video, audio, camera solution all coming out with one USB. So how does that, how does that equate into being easy, which is our tagline, is because you're doing everything over category cable. So there's a cost savings, not only with just equipment, because you're not having to extend any USB extenders or any other devices that you're adding to the system, but you're actually just running a category cable, which to each camera, and then that camera doesn't need any infrastructure for power or anything because it's over power over the Ethernet, PoE. So real simple solution, and then we'll get into the ecosystem. So that's in a nutshell, that's basically what the Easy IP solution is. The ecosystem allows you to, we have 4 different flavors for cameras. So the first one on the left that is identified as new is our Easy IP5. That Easy IP5 is more for it's a 5x zoom. It's designed to be closer because it has a 100-degree field of view. So it's able to capture a really decent size space. And then going from there, you go to your Easy IP10, which is a 10x zoom, full pan tilt zoom. Then the next line would be the Easy IP20, which is our 20 times zoom. And then the fourth one would be our Easy IP30. Easy IP30 is a 30 times zoom. With the Easy IP5 and the 30, it is an electronic pan tilt zoom. And so it is doing that pan tilt zoom, but it's all electronic in the head. So there's nothing that's moving on that camera. There is a microphone that's built into the Easy 5 and 30, and then also it does the framing or the where it does the tracking. So you can set this camera up, and then you can frame the room, and it'll do the tracking. The other devices that you can add to the ecosystem is our Luxel network switch or any other switch that configured. If you do get it with our Luxel switch, it'll already come configured, pre-configured for you. So plug and go. As you can see in Doug's situation or scenario, he was using a Crestron control system, and you can absolutely control it with any third-party control system. Or you can also include, we do provide a device controller, which is the 10-inch tablet, and that's basically just pulling up the web interface from the system. And then you could choose from either an IP mixer or a decoder. That would be the other device. And then the Easy IP mixer will allow you has a 4x4 Dante mixer in there, so that's where you can add in the audio, the Dante audio. And then it also has an HDMI input and an HDMI out. So if I'm connected to my laptop, I can now include my presentation or whatever I'm instructing through the Easy IP mixer, and then present that. It has a picture-in-picture, and then it also has where you can put a graphic, a layer onto it. So if it's an instructor or a classroom or university, you can put that logo on that output. So here's again, just to make up the ecosystem, would be our cameras, our sources, our network switch, and then basically either the Easy IP mixer or the decoder. The decoder is you would need one or the other, but the decoder just doesn't have the it doesn't have the Dante 4x4 mixer, and it doesn't have that HDMI input. So those are some of the biggest difference between those two units. Just showing the back, so one simple connection, just one PoE port. again, just going over some of the specs. And then again, this would be our 30. So this says coming soon, but it is available. So, and again, this is 100-degree field of view, so easily capture a white space. Here's going into our decoder or our easy IP mixers. And again, you need one or the other. This is basically the brains of the system. And you can pair up to 2 per system. So if you needed more than 4 cameras, you can actually pair up another. It just can't, it has to be the same one. You can't do a decoder and a mixer. It would need to be 2 decoders or 2 mixers. This is showing the difference on the back of it. So you can tie in 2 of their easy ceiling microphones or table microphones into the decoder. And then you can see you got a lot more control and options. You can connect it to triggers. If you had a trigger mat, you could step on that and then it would interact with you. And then other options that I spoke about, the PIP and then the picture-in-picture and then the graphics layer. Here's some of our audio solutions. So this is what we can use. We have an amplifier, microphone pennant, so you can mount that in the ceiling. You have your amplifier, so saving space from either behind the display or an equipment rack or a lectern, wherever you're placing your equipment. You can place that in the ceiling, then it has line audio out so that you can tie that into your speakers. We have ceiling recessed speakers and then also table microphones, Dante and non-Dante version. This would be our device controller. So again, this is a tablet. We offer a tablet, and again, it just pulls the web interface so that I can control my cameras, the switching, the picture-in-picture as an option. But basically, any tablet you can connect as long as it's on that network. This is one of the newest members to the ecosystem. This just gives us an option to control up to 4 different cameras, and then you can set up 4 different presets per camera. Then this gives you that real nice controlled joystick for that space. Gives you a lot more flexibility and more control where it's that real smooth transition. And then also you can just plug in your laptop into the network and it's going to pull up that web interface and you can control it that way as well. Oh, I went too fast on that one, so surprise. So we did speak about a lot of his spaces, and all the spaces were not easy IP. He showed some our little huddle shot video bar, and then he showed some point-to-point. So Vaddio has a number of different options and camera solutions, whether you're going point-to-point or you're doing an all-in-one video bar, or if you're doing an easy IP solution. When it comes to the video bar, this is a new product that is coming out, and it will be at Infocom if anybody's attending Infocom this year, and it will be shipping somewhere around that same time. This is an all-in-one video bar. It has a 3x zoom. It has 6 beamforming microphones, and then a speaker built into that. And then you have, let me see here. Yeah, you got 3 different options to control the camera or the video bar. It comes with a Bluetooth remote, and you're able to select and control the bar that way with the remote. You can also select it so that the camera does the tracking, or you can select it that you do the voice tracking, which you're using the beamforming microphones. And then just a couple of things. The lens is actually articulating, so it's not a fixed lens. It actually articulates. And then it does come with the table stand and then a mounting option where that table stand flips back, and then you add in a couple of little cleats that it will rest on so that you can do the table mounting. There's going to be other mounting options that are going to be coming available. We're using our our chief line to kind of help build up that different mounting options. But this would be the Venture video bar. You can pair up to 3 different microphones based on that are daisy chained, and that would be this microphone here. It's all category cable, and then daisy chain PoE. So you just need to extend it per category cable, and then again up to 3. Each microphone will cover about 20 feet, so it gives you a lot of flexibility if you need to extend that audio in that space or that mic. That's kind of the easy IP solution, and then also something that's new that's coming out. Going into every Vaddio camera solution for free is there's all kinds of settings and ways you can control those cameras, and that would be over our Vaddio deployment tool. So there's a very robust cameras, a lot of control that, when you get that camera, you can log into that camera and make your presets and set everything up that works right for your space. And I think that might be it, right?
Find out who your Vaddio rep is, scan away, people.
So, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but we do have at our Legrand booth set up, I do have an easy IP system that's set up there. So if you wanted to take a little deeper dive or have any questions and kind of see how that looks and works, please come and see me at the booth, and I'm happy to go over all the feature sets. Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. You got it. Yeah. No, thank you, everybody. Yeah, I think we have one more slide, maybe. Maybe it's a funny slide. I don't know. Oh, that slide. So it's any questions right now we have about this, because our solution was in response to a very definite need, but yet we're all have that definite need, and the quality of how we do it in this, and the Vaddio really met our price points for what we could do per classroom, and then also, the amount of support that we still get from our Vaddio family now. They just don't live down the road in Ohio anymore. She lives up in Minnesota, but she does come and see us, and she checks in on us regularly. So, and if anyone wants to come and see me and Dave Goldschmidt in July, we're going to have a regional ETC event on July 18th. I probably through Raul somewhere, I'll get that information out. I got a big basement, plenty of room. You won't even have to look at each other if you don't want to. But but it's been a good marriage of Legrand with it. And my history with Legrand is that I've worked with so many of those different products throughout my career, whether it's Mid-Atlantic, and then I wanted to be the Northwest Daylight guy at one point in my life, to replace Tim Shitters, Uncle Tim, and but who knows? But no, it's been a lot of passion, because I love audiovisual stuff. I love supporting faculty, student employees who learn new things. I mean, the deployment tools and stuff we saw here, my student workers are touching them on a regular basis to assist with classroom tier 1 problems with our Vaddio system, in addition to any Crestron stuff or projector issues or whatever else is going on. So we added a new tool to their toolbox for our student employees, and they, I think, have been very, very happy, very satisfied, and learning quite a bit more about what it is they're doing and how this gear is supporting their learning and the learning of future students at Oakland University. So with that, I think we're done. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? Oh, a question back here. Hold on, let me walk the microphone back. We want to get your voice captured.
Well, as you know, here in Oregon, we deal with the FERPA. How'd you get around that with cameras to students?
At our particular campus, that is a legal affairs issue, and they have basically looked the other way. So many other issues on our campus right now that isn't a thing. Now, at some point it might, and if it becomes a thing, then it means a matter of, maybe we disable the student camera and it's an instructor. I heard that yesterday, I think, here, that some cameras, a lot of classrooms don't have 2 cameras. They have a single camera for instructor only. and no student camera, but that's it. One of the issues that we have in some of our classrooms is the hybrid concept is like, I want to see students on the far side from the instructor, and they go manic. And it's like, well, there are ways to do this. You put a nice big second monitor up with the right hardware there, and you got 2 giant monitors basically blocking. Or you put a big old 70 whatever inch TV set. One thing we're looking at in one room where they want it, there's actually a turret for a second projector. We're going to put a second projector, face it the other way, and be like, okay, here I am doing my Zoom, and I can look at a projector out there and see the 32 students on little squares, and when they talk, in Zoom, it will size out and get big. So, you know, that is one of the issues we're having, not with this system so much, with in general. And sometimes there's just not enough money to do everything you want to do. And getting that and selling that to various people, colleges, departments. I mean, in our general purpose classrooms, we don't have a giant confidence monitor. I mean, the biggest one we ever did, I think, was at the Collaborative Life Sciences building. And that was just for lecture capture, so a person who's recording themselves in Echo 360 could see themselves on the far side. You know, see what their video looks like. You know, hold on, got another question.
I have a comment. So, I mean, it seems like if the video is contained within the classroom, that should be within FERPA rules because the students are registered in that classroom. You would have a problem, say, for example, if you had a class that you were recording and you wanted to open it up to another class of students. And I don't know if a signed disclaimer or waiver on the part of the students in the class might help or not. But I know that and when we've been discussing FERPA, that that would be the dividing line. So.
You know, it's interesting, Romero, because you brought that up. I thought a little bit. That kind of question and stuff, that may first end up in the lap of our people who do e-learning on our campus, responsible for Moodle, Panopto deployment, and all that sort of thing. And some of that is their touching of Zoom too. So it's like, okay, what is the arrangement they have with that particular class or that particular instructor? So it's it's kind of an interesting thing that it hasn't hit us yet. So yeah. Any other questions, anyone? I have a question here from my friend Jay.
Yeah, I had kind of a question maybe for the room, and I'm Jay Delastrato. I'm with Legrand also. And so during the COVID years, you spent in a very short period of time a lot of money thanks to the stimulus funding. So have you started to think about your life cycle refresh going forward? And how is that handled? Are you going to get $1 million budget in 5 years to go do an upgrade of all that same number of rooms, whether it's 300 or 800?
I'm laughing because I just submitted a $1.4 million budget request for FY25 for a variety of things, and part of that was a $440,000 classroom refresh plan. And my boss called me this morning with all the other campus drama that's going on and said, "Oh, Doug, in addition to the drama, that request you made, that's a lot of money." I go, well, you want a realistic refresh budget on all the technology we've deployed over these many moons, and the fact that money, that we spent it, all of it, I mean, right out the door when it happened. $3 million had to go to student housing to cover all the canceled student housing contracts. If that wouldn't have happened because it's an aux thing, people would have been losing their jobs left and right who support student housing. So this gets into the upper leadership understanding technology refresh, and how it has to happen.
One of the things we had done, we had already sort of established an 8-year refresh cycle for our classrooms. So it was like 20 rooms every year. So with new gear and stuff like that, maybe reduce it down to 15, maybe bring it up to a 9-year refresh cycle to help balance out against that extra budgetary constraint and stuff like that. So that's sort of how we're approaching it, because we don't expect to get new money.
My big money request is probably going to turn into something like that. I'm pretty certain, because it's realistic. It's more realistic. I mean, asking for $440,000 a year, there is like me asking, can you go buy me a Land Rover and I never have to pay for it, sort of thing. So it's just like, it really, people have to realize that the cost of doing business and the technology cost of doing business, and I learned this at Portland State University, there's a cost. I mean, when you've got great projects, you give them funny names. I mean, I called one of ours Grand Slam, where we put high tech everywhere, and that was so cool and all that. But that was about the university making a really strong one-time fiscal commitment. Do it, fine. Oh yeah, by the way, it's 7 years later. I got to start replacing this stuff. I'm starting to have failure in my Crestron DMPSs. I'm starting to have failure in projectors. I'm starting to have things that are popping up like little mushrooms, one over here and one way over there. And I'm like, oh, where's my money going? It's going south.
And that's kind of what I was wondering about, because, you know, the 8 years, if that's like when it all starts to, issues start, then you're kind of stuck with what you do. But so do you start it in 4 to 5 years and get some of the stuff that could last a few more years, but we'll budget it this year, we'll replace it this year, and then you go in your, you know, 15, 20 rooms over the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, you can sort of rely on what, I mean, everything's not going to turn off after 8 years, right? But it's like, you can't push it there. And eventually you get to it.
Well,
You can, if there are some emergencies, okay, we
Yeah.
have change.
Yeah.
and technology will change too.
Exactly.
And
So you got to rethink it.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned that, Jay, about the technology.
what is the future and what will happen?
You know, we were so busy scrambling 4 years ago, dealing with the immediate thing right in our faces, that, you know, where did we go with the future? What are we looking at next? I want to catch up to everything we promised and to deliver what we got given the funds for in 2020 and make sure that's there. And before I know that, we'll be on. And stuff like active learning classrooms now. No one's really, and if a vendor wants to talk to me about that, it is literally going to go in one ear and out the other, because I have no demand on my campus for active learning right now. People want to go back to, in my school anyway, if it's active learning, there's whiteboards and movable chairs and furniture, and that's good enough. And if there's hopefully will be a projector in the room, and that will be where we focus when we have a certain portion of the class. It's a concern I have, big time. I probably talk, right now we're talking about it because I'm making a FY25 budget request that's going to make people's heads explode at the highest levels of our university. But when they tell me I cannot charge for services, no longer services to event services to do high quality video production service that, well, you have to fund me. You have to fund positions, full-time positions, more student labor than we've ever been budgeted for, because you never budgeted me for that before. And I got you a number. Let's make it happen. So, yeah.
I love that you're doing student labor too.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, the value of that, the student labor piece, I can't understate it, because my whole career has been based on having quality student labor, quality managed student labor. Where does that student labor come from? What does it look like? You know. And they're transient too. That's one of the things that you learn, is that you don't, if you have them for 4 years, you're lucky. If you have them for 7 years, you're unlucky. and it is one of those deals where, you know, they do a lot of the heavy lifting, and you got to support them with whatever. We got this is another budget thing. We got our minimum wage on campus raised to $15 an hour. That's a big deal. And that was it. But that's for newbies. What if it's the guy who's worked for us for 2.5 years, or the gal? Oh yeah, they're going to get more money. Where Doug's going to create some bizarre matrix that he does between throwing cards down a stairwell, and if you get a right stairwell, you get $1 increase, and if you hit this one, you get a 50-cent increase. But no, I came up with something that I think was equitable, and students that work for us for 2 years or 3 years, they got more than $15. They needed that. They deserve that. And a lot of them weathered COVID. And that group is just about gone now. The ones that weathered those days in 2020 and 2021, which were the worst ever, the worst. So, yeah. Anybody else? Well, thank you all so much. Appreciate you coming to our talk, and go out and buy some Legrand stuff.